Friends, let's talk about fraud. Because according to Donald Trump, fraud only exists right now in the blue states. And it's always committed by immigrants and leftist radicals. And somehow, fraud magically disappears the moment that Republicans are involved. Look, we know that the latest round of Trump's plan to threaten his way out of a midterm landslide started with Minnesota's Feeding Our Future scandal, and it kicked off this prolonged and vile attack. I'm Josh, and this is Ring of Fire Weekends. Let's be clear right up front. If there is real fraud in Minnesota, it needs to be thoroughly investigated and prosecuted. And it was. The claim is that more than $250 million meant to feed low-income kids right during the pandemic was stolen by a network of nonprofit operators and shell companies. Fake meal counts, fake invoices, luxury cars, mansions, the whole works. And the Biden administration uncovered it and prosecuted. But here's the part Trump doesn't want you to think about. Because while he's pointing at Minnesota like it's some kind of liberal crime lab, he's carefully ignoring Mississippi. You remember Mississippi, that welfare fraud scandal, right? The one where $77 million in federal welfare money was siphoned, not by immigrants, not by blue state bureaucrats, not by radical leftists, no, but by Republican political insiders and donors and celebrities. A former WWE wrestler, and yes, Brett Favre, that Brett Favre, using money meant for the poorest families in America to fund pet projects like a volleyball stadium. And here's the key difference that tells you everything you need to know. In Minnesota, the Democrats helped expose it. The journalists dug deep into it. The prosecutors acted. Trials happened. Sentences are on their way. In Mississippi, Republicans ran the state. They run the welfare agency. They ran interference. And then they spent years pretending that it was all very confusing and no one could have known. They slow-walked the investigations, they blocked the subpoenas, they attacked the whistleblowers, and they protected their own. And Donald Trump? Silent. Dead silent. No rallies, no truth social meltdowns, no calls for justice, no ICE crackdowns. Because we know it's not about fraud, it's about who commits it. Trump's rules are simple. If poor people steal, scream about it. If immigrants steal, scream louder. If Republicans steal, change the subject and attack the media. And that's why Trump loves the Minnesota case. Because it lets him cosplay as this law and order crusader without actually confronting any of the rot inside of his own party. Look, Minnesota's scandal was terrible and it triggered federal prosecutions, convictions, and real accountability. Meanwhile, Trump's favorite Mississippi, it triggered political protection, delays, and selective amnesia. Same federal money, same welfare system, same pandemic chaos, but completely different outcomes, all because of politics and xenophobia. And here's the part that should piss every single one of us off. After Mississippi was fined $100 million, Trump let them off the hook. The state says that they may have found some evidence that could explain their crimes, so Trump paused the payments and said, we'll come up with another calculation later. And he never did. So Trump just let them off the hook. Meanwhile, he's still trying to freeze federal funding to 5 blue states, claiming that it's about the taxpayer money. But he never said a word when that money was stolen by his donors, his allies, or his cultural heroes like Brett Favre. He claims to care about the poor, but not once has he demanded justice for the poorest people in Mississippi who had their food assistance stolen to fund vanity projects. Trump claims to hate corruption, but real corruption, it doesn't bother him. But what does? Disloyalty. And that's why Minnesota's useful. That's why Mississippi, that situation is radioactive. Because Minnesota proves that government programs can work and fraud can be punished. Mississippi proves what happens when Republicans run everything and accountability dies right there in the corner. So the next time you hear Trump ranting about blue state fraud, remember this. He's not mad that kids went hungry. He's only mad that the wrong people got caught. Because if this were really about accountability and integrity, if this was really about justice, he'd be shouting just as loud about Mississippi and Brett Favre. Thanks for watching that video. Be sure to like and share it all over the place. And then during the week, catch Jared. I'll be back next weekend with more Ring of Fire weekends. Be sure to like and subscribe.